So today we're going to replace this with this. I'm going to show you guys how to build this and exactly why I went from one waterfall spray booth to another. So this unit is actually really great. You can tell that I put a lot of time into it, but some of the issues that I've had are it's not solvent resistant. So if you look down there in the corner, you can see this whole piece has started to break away. So this piece used to set in here, but the problem is because of the solvents, it started to disintegrate. Now I really like this unit. I've custom built my own airbrush holders and shelves. I think it's phenomenal, but at the same time, I've gotten my use out of it, as you can tell. Another big issue I had is I was painting a bunch of Gundam kits and the whole waterfall fell down on all my parts. And if you look up in these corners, there's little O-rings that are supposed to go there. I've had to put putty there because the O-rings broke because, again, not solvent resistant. So there's one in each side and they both pretty much broke at the same side, so I know there's an issue with the solvent resistance with that. But overall the unit still works. You know, a little super glue in the corner. I have new solvent resistant O-rings coming from the manufacturer, so it still works to be expected with the amount that I spray. I mean, you can see how much spray is built up on the back just from my last session. Long story short, these things are going to happen when you're dealing with lacquers especially, or any type of strong solvent. Sometimes I'll use acetone to clean out my brushes and things like that. It doesn't directly go in there, but if you look where I have my cup position, it is right next to that part, and the steam pretty much shoots out right there. So it is possible that even though that's filtered, the little pot shoots out solvent, especially cleaners. They may have had some effect on the immediate area right there that started to dissolve that plastic. But again, a little super glue, new O-rings, and things should work really well. I will be giving this out. I'm not going to be cleaning it, doing anything like that, but the choice was to either give it away or probably throw it out. I guess I could try to sell it, but I'm just not one for doing the whole eBay thing. I just never have the time. So I was thinking, if you guys follow my page over the next, I don't know, few weeks, I'm going to give one of these away. And also, if we hit few thousand subscribers, I also have a regular master tri-fan unit that I can give away that was very lightly used. I bought it, used it for 2 weeks, and then I bought this one when we bought our new home. And then I have another one from my previous house that was also very lightly used. It was a little bit older of a master, non-waterfall like the other master one, but they're both very lightly used. Unlike this unit, it's a little bit heavier than those two. But either way, they all work great for somebody on a low budget. You know, I'll ship it right out to you guys. You don't even have to pay shipping, and it's better than putting it in the landfill. Alright, so let's open this bad boy up. I've got to find a razor. This thing comes very nicely covered. I do see some like black specks in there, and I'll show those momentarily. I'm not quite sure what those are. If you look at any of the plastic, when you first get it, it looks like rough and janky, but this is actually a plastic cover. So if you look, it's actually pretty much pristine. Even the cuts look rough when you look there, but again, let me see if I get that. Again, that's mostly that cover. From what I can see, when that cover comes off, it should actually look really good. So we'll see. It is only covered, from what I can tell, on one side. It does look like there are some minor scuffs in the inside and some, I guess, some sort of pressure marking along the inner inside of this. That may be from this side. We'll just have to see when we take it off. The rest is enclosed inside of the unit. So like I was saying, there's these little black specks in here. So it does look a little yucky, but some of it is definitely styrofoam from the packing. I'm assuming the rest is just cut shavings that maybe were burnt from laser etching or high temperature drilling, who knows. So you can see that there's a light in here. Looks like it flips down right there. There's a box on this side that basically seems to have all the electronics, potentially the pump. One thing that I do like about this unit that I do know is there's a removable container in here, and my biggest concern about this unit was I had to take the whole thing off, lift it off just to get to the water. And doing that in my setup, as you can tell right now, it's a mess, but that's not uncommon when you've got families and work and little time for a hobby. So I'm sure there's a lot of people with messy workbenches and setups at some point, sometimes very clean. Long story short, taking this thing off is not great, because when I do the wheels in the bottom, you can see there's these little black pegs. They pop out. There's little clips on the side. They pop out. Overall, I love the unit. It did what it was supposed to, which was it had a super powerful fan. It had the waterfall, captured fumes. I vented those fumes down into a 5-gallon drum. And what I essentially did is I drilled holes. I drilled one big 4-inch hole I have a special attachment for that I just happen to have for walls. And then just a regular drill for the rest of the holes. Filled this up with water. I ran it through one of these Vivo Sun pumps. This actually wasn't a great idea as I learned more about this. So I actually ran this through a booster fan, but that actually wasn't a great idea, because if you look in there, that's not the fans on the other side. That's actually, looks like some sort of buildup. That might be a piece of paper in there. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to have to check what that is. Long story short, these are not explosion-proof fans. They're special fans that are made to be explosion-proof. Very expensive, very hard to find them in 4-inch inline tube fans. They are out there. I did find a few, but it definitely took me a while. Long story short, these are not great for that unless you have a lot of bends and pulls in the tube, which even if you have that, it's still not safe. It's very dangerous to run solvents through these fans, because if there's a spark or an abnormal condition, just too much flash point, I guess is how you would describe it, this can go boom, which will lead an explosion up that tube and all the way back into your face. So not good. Don't recommend this. It would work fine if you just ran it right in here. I know other guys that do it. I know that Rex does that. This is probably safe in my opinion. You shouldn't do it. I am not going to do that for my new setup. My new setup, I'm going into a carbon filter, which is much better than this in my opinion. But essentially, I'm going to use what's called an 8-inch, I think it's a 6-inch CANLITE filter, and these are, I think, like 20 pounds of carbon fiber, and you blow air into the top and it comes through the outside, and the carbon filter should filter the VOCs according to this company, and it's very widely used in the growing space to neutralize all types of smells and scents and things like that. So we've taken the plastic off. We have some shelves, we have some bolts, we have a little nice controller. Here are what looks to be our shelving units and some wiring. We have some tape in here. We have a direction manual. Let's see how that looks. Looks just like the one I've seen in another review by Rex, which basically the same thing that's on their website, although it does seem to have an additional page here. Anti-return front side cover. After putting 3M adhesives on the red line marking position, fix the tool rack to the main body. It's got two different sections here. One says all-in-one painting plus airbrush stand plus storage rack. It wants you to basically use this red tape around the outside, and then it has another section that wants you to build the outer enclosure and use that red, it's probably clear tape, but it's red in the box, the covering. Use that in these key positions, so around the outer perimeter, and then 2 lines around there. That's about as far as the directions take you, but I can see that outer enclosure here, and I'm assuming they want that little line right there where that line connects. So let's get to it. Alright, so we have our side shelves. These also seem to be covered pretty nicely, besides the covering being a little jagged. They look great. And then this is your shelf. Very large shelves. Everything looks good, but then you have this. What is that? I'm not super picky, but it's like everywhere. There's blemishes and issues. I'm not super happy about that. Everything is just very like dusty, grimy looking. So I don't know why it's so dirty. But let's keep going. Looks like you have filter. This is similar to my other unit, but I wanted to get this assembled. Oh my, this is really bad. Never mind, it's just a lining. I mean, because they have these weird linings everywhere, it makes it hard to determine that manufacturing issue or what, but I think that's just a cover that will come off. Again, there's dust all throughout it, but I've made a lot of complaints about the condition of the unit. It's all very fixable. Once I make some changes to this thing, I don't think I'll be unhappy with it. I think I'll be very happy with it. I just was expecting to see it a little better condition considering I got the other unit and that came like flawless, but this is a much more beefier unit. It's built in metal, it's got a lot of acrylic that's custom formed, it's not thin acrylic, so I can tell that they did a lot to try to make this happen. I think it was worth it. You're gonna have to expect to see stuff like this because I believe that's just another piece that's gonna come off. So it looks really dirty, but that's just because it's a covering. Now, that's not saying this thing is clean. It definitely has dirt all over it, but because everything's covered, not really that big of a deal. Let's continue to try to cut this stuff away. Wow. This thing is heavy duty. So again, going back to what I was saying before, everything looks dirty, right? But I think this is all covering, but fingerprints inside. Ooh. Oh my god, this is a nightmare. Oh my god, this is terrible. And I'm gonna get fingerprints all over it.
1 hour later.
Now this right here, this is what I bought this unit for. Because this bucket makes a world of a difference compared to that other bucket, which is, from what I can tell, A, much larger, and B, it's just unwieldy because unlike the other bucket, this is hard plastic. The other one is basically made out of this, like flimsy stuff. So when you're trying to carry it full of 5 gallons of water, it's like trying to fold onto itself and half of it's tipping over. The old one, yeah, I hated the water refill system. I actually developed a siphon type system. So this is how I used to fill the old one. I would use like a gas siphon pump to fill up a 50 gallon or a 5 gallon bucket and pump the water out. So it was really bad. That system worked, but it wasn't great. We have a piece of styrofoam. I don't know what it does. Looks like we have our lighting wire with no directions on how to put this together. To the back, we've got our power back here. This is all wrapped up nicely. So you have nice handles. So basically you have an entire mechanism that pulls this unit out and pushes it back in. So in, out, which is awesome compared to the old mechanism of just lifting the entire top of the unit off and disturbing your entire workspace. Love this. This is a million times better. There's also that white film, which is horribly difficult to remove. I'm going to use my heat gun and go to work. So let's try to get this done again.
Three hours later.
So this first thing is a series of, seems to be nuts, screws, additional adapters. More white stuff. Yes! Just kidding. We also have these little airbrush holders, and they're actually really high quality. So they have a little O-ring seated in here and some foam, and they look like they work really well. So we're going to use those. I made my own custom ones. We'll see if these work better. We have an additional adapter. Again, just super like weird stuff. There's like white foam embedded in this. If you look right there, you can see that. What is this? Ugh. And it like doesn't even really come out. Honestly, I'm with the poor-ish QA. The part quality itself is, the build quality is exceptional. All metal, the entire thing. Very limited plastic. Looks like even pretty good quality LED is in there. There's definitely areas I think they probably should consider cheaped out. This one's actually much easier than the first one. The quality of the plastic wrap just seems really bad. You just can't get a grip on it.
1 hour later.
Okay. Now this is what you would expect. That metal stuff is definitely not that. One more time. Overall, pretty good. There's definitely sharp edges that like somebody probably should have just spent another 20 seconds to burr down. I mean, I could do it with my fingernail. It's so simple. So we have this. If anybody wants to tell me what this is in the comments, I'd love to know. Not bad. Definitely some stress marks inside. Pull this out. Put this back And I think that's the way we found it. Yeah, that's the way we found it. So there's little indents front. And that kind of determines when you shut this door, the tray can sit into it because of those indents. Very smart design, and it all fits together really nicely. You get a remote. It has a 23A 12-volt battery. The remote has multiple functions. One is A, one is B, one is on-off, and one is sleep. Also has a remote holster. I don't know if it comes with a magnet yet. Doesn't look like it, but we'll see. So this piece seats onto the outside of this piece. So I pulled these screws back, and what I'm going to do is, if you look there, there's two pieces of metal that align. If you don't make the effort to tuck this over that, just like I just did, then what's going to happen is you're going to get this piece clipped in between. That's why I loosened it. So I just pulled the whole thing out so that can help you. Now you can see there's some wiggle here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back this time instead of going all the way to the middle and stop a little short. Okay. There you go. So when you're done, there should not be a space there. This is paint remover, lacquer paint remover. Just in case anybody's wondering, don't know why that was in there. So as you can tell, this is transparent tape. This tape, then align the edge of this, bring this around, and this. If you want to take a look at how I did that, because it can be a little confusing, I aligned pretty much to the crease with this. You guys can see that. So basically I screwed in like this. I used pressure to hold down the nuts with my finger as hard as I could. Now what I'm hoping is an airbrush will go in there without getting destroyed. Oh wow, it does. Okay. The way this is going to shake out, now I'm going to mount over here. You don't really have to worry about holes. Airbrushes are going to mount in here. You have shelves over here. You have shelves over there. That side is relatively easy. This is the more challenging side. Alright, so to finish up this video, my phone died, but I just continued the build because it's getting very late. What I did is I took the 3M tape, which is this roll, and I traced the outline where the airbrushes meet the plastic when you tuck this straight back. So I put a straight line of that up and across, and then I put the red strip of tape, which is a little bit stronger in my experience, across the top. The remaining amount that I had wrapped in this stuff. I don't think I have any left to show you. So that goes about there. Yep, that was the piece I cut. And then I traced the same thing on this side along the bottle holder. So the video died before I was done filming, and I did assemble it, and then I realized that the phone had died. So I'm going to go over this really quick. You have your green tape. You also have your red clear tape, your green foam tape. You could see this goes along the edge. You could technically bring it all the way around, but I decided to put a little bit of the clear red tape along the very top just because I felt it was stronger. And then you can see I come back around all the way down, and then I stop right down here. Now for the clear tape, which is the red tape in the package, you're going to want to use that in here, because if you use the green tape, you're going to have foam lines in your plastic. So that's the whole purpose of this. And this red tape, in my opinion, is a little bit gummier. It's a little bit better. So that goes in really well. One thing I also had to do, I don't know if I went through this in the video, is I had to make these holes a little bit bigger, because when you lay this plate down on the side, you want this to be flush, and then you put the foam tape in there. So if you look in there, I put strips all the way around the corners. So one here, one I believe along that side, one along that side, one along this side. And I tried to get that plate to sit in there as flush as possible. And then after that, I came back and I assembled the shield. I brought the shield in and I put all the tape down at once. And then very carefully, I aligned the entire piece. That was easier for me to do. I think there's multiple ways you can do this. I'll go through that again. Put all the tape down, assemble your shield. So you have your side pieces, your top and your side piece. And then I brought that in and laid that down with the metal piece in place. So I knew I would have enough clearance to get this in and out. Besides that, it's very simple. This slides out and then you have your bucket in there, and you can tell my bucket definitely needs to be cleaned. I haven't actually cleaned this since August. So let's pull this out. And now you can see inside of there, this is where all your paint's gonna collect. Go and dump this out. Replace it as much as you can. I like to put a little bit of bleach in there just to keep it from molding or getting nasty. But this one lasted a lot better than the first one that I had. I'm not sure why. The first one would drain really quickly and evaporate. This one doesn't actually do that. It will evaporate a little bit, but it's pretty easy to counter that. You just pour a water bottle in here until you see the water rising up here. The only thing you want to make sure that doesn't happen is you overflow this. Right now my water is a little short. I actually like to have it almost all the way up to the top. If you look in that corner, I try to line it up as high as I can so it soaks up the sponge really well. The sponge needs to sit flat against this. It's a weird shape. If you look right there, you can see how I figured to get it in there, because when the water runs down and it's collecting the paint, you want there to be contact with the sponge. All right, so let's push this back. I like to get that a little bit tight in there, and there you go. It's assembled. I have my side draws on both sides. Looks great, works great. I don't really have any complaints about this unit. It is definitely professional grade. It's very easy to clean. It's got some room for customization if you like to do that. You could probably put some stickers up there, but that gets dirty, so you're going to want to be able to clean that sometimes. Besides that, I love the unit. So I just want to jump forward a little bit. So I pulled this out, brought it out to my hose, rinsed it out, clean the filter up a little bit. Eventually I might want to take this out, but for now that works. When you pull this thing out, you have these tabs down here. So these are like locking tabs that allow you to get it in and out. They're tight in there. There we go. So you could pull that up, and this kind of controls where this is going to go. As you push this back, you start to get an idea of its proper fit, which is pretty much all the way back. So you have that all the way back. One more thing that I wanted to mention is you do have to bolt these in. There's 3 holes, but only 2 are drilled out. So you should have the equipment to do that. This then slides right in there. And then you can lift that up, push that in, create your seal, and perfect. And you can see I've got a little bit more water in there. I don't like to fill it all the way up when I bring it back from the hose. So what I'll do is grab like a water bottle or a bucket and just get it up a little bit higher, just until it's up to the top. And you get enough in this sponge where it's all wet. You should occasionally push it in too. That will help it collect all the stuff you need it to collect. Simple. So that's your full changing procedure. As you can see, I've started to put some paint in there. Got a model in there. I did discover this light you can actually move up and down, which is great. And it is very bright. I'm probably going to add some more lights to it. One thing I also did is I took the LED light and I ran it under the tape on this side, the double-sided tape. And one thing you want to make sure is that this can easily get out. So mine's touching a tiny bit, which isn't the end of the world, but I can imagine eventually me trying to get this out will be a frustration. There is a lot of room in here. So like say I was spraying this model, because the water falls back and down, I could technically have his tail all the way back here and be spraying like this, which is just incredible. If anybody's wondering, this is the Wicked Alien model. It is phenomenal. As you can see, I've got it reflective black right now. I still have to do the base, so maybe I'll make a video of that at some point. But now that this thing is starting to come together, it's looking really good. So we've got our compressor down here, presumably primary airbrush would run somewhere around there. You've got your settings controller here. There's a mount for it somewhere. Not sure where that went, but assuming on the floor somewhere, I'll find it. I don't know what I would do with it. I guess I would probably mount it up here, so I could just have this sitting right here and then just have my buttons easy to get to. Besides that, I just put both plates on. The right plate is difficult because you have to do screws in the inside, so there's nothing it's pressing against, and when you put it down against the adhesive, Make sure all these little drilled out holes line up just right. And if you miss, the adhesive is really sticky, so it'd be very difficult to get off. Trust me, I did it. This side is just adhesive. There's nothing you really have to worry about besides aligning the holes. There's no screws inside out. As I expected, I did have exactly 3 screws for this. There was 1 leftover screw because 3 holes were drilled out, but for whatever reason, they only drilled out 2 on one of these sides, which I don't know why. But besides that, I love it. I'm about to turn on the water and see how that performs, and as long as everything's working there, it should be all good. I tested the fan into carbon system and that works great. The only thing I have to do is get that vent cap, the vent tube up a little bit, get it, maybe make a 3D printed holder that I could screw into the wall there so I can open my ultrasonic cleaner. But yeah, this is perfect. I love it. So you have your shelves over there, you have paint on the other side. I don't have any paint there yet, but I'll take another picture when I get a moment to show you it all loaded up. But I love this setup. I can imagine this is going to be great. So last step is I pulled the shelf out, stand that up. These little handles, you can get it out nice and easy. So I'm gonna go rinse this out, put some water in it, be right back. We'll see if it holds. It's filled up the rest, and it is working perfectly. Look at that waterfall. Even, that's another big issue I have with the other unit, is the waterfall is almost never even. If the unit was out of balance, like the actual level of the unit, the tank would overflow forward, backwards, the waterfall would only fill one side. This one's just a whole other level. I did notice a slight decrease in pressure when going into the carbon filter. The carbon filter is rated for double the CFM in this unit, so it does have the ability to pass through, but I may still need a booster fan. First one is great, especially if you don't paint that much and your biggest concern is the scent. Should we spray something? Let's do it. So I'm going to show how well this booth works when you spray out paint. So I'm going to just spray a bunch, and you can see it all piled in there. Within a second, completely cleared. And that's the Kaizo Spraybooth waterfall. Alright, so I just wanted to show you how to clean this up. I use these Hobby Mio paint remover wipe. There's a few sites you can get them on, Robot Kai, Alibaba, but you could just take these, basically press down, and this will take out anything. This does come with one of these. It's from a different brand I've never heard of. I don't remember which one it came with. They work pretty well. I mean, if you have a really thick piece in there, you're gonna have to do a little scrubbing to get it out. It will take quite a few of these to get this cleaned up, and when I'm done, I'll usually take a little bit of lacquer and just run over the whole thing with a paper towel. It does tend to spread the mess out sometimes, so you can see that here, because they don't have the longevity to really do what you need them to do always. So sometimes it's good to try to push them down, get a lot of pressure, and then come back with a microfiber rag or a paper towel, and then just clean it right up, and then you get a real clean surface like that. There you go. And now, perfectly clean. Another thing I want to mention is the wiring for light. So I just actually ran that right under the tape and out this side. I don't know if there's a better way to do that, but that was the only way that I could figure out how to get this through. The main unit is pretty much all wired up from what I remember. You just plug it in the back and then plug it into the outlet, and then you have your remote control. That has multiple functions. You have A, which is your fan. You have B, which is your water curtain. You have on and off. That will turn both on, both off. You have sleep. What is sleep? Sleep is a really weird function I haven't really figured out. I hit it once thinking it was the off, and then I came back 3 days later to find the entire unit on out of nowhere and out of order. So don't hit sleep. It's literally what it sounds like. It puts it to sleep for an unknown amount of time. I'm not really sure what the purpose of it is, but I would just recommend using your A, B on and off, and then you have a switch for your light that's built into the plug, which works great. Also want to do a quick update on CANLITE Filter. It is phenomenal. So my setup literally removes all fume smells. I've done some basic like particle testing to see what the ppm is and what toxins are being detected. I can't pick up anything outside the unit. It has such a strong pull that it literally sucks anything in that gets anywhere near the unit.